Hello guys, welcome to today's lecture review, the lecture review of the last class that we had. Um, this was actually what we looked at. We looked at this simple website, and the idea was to replicate exactly what we have on screen here. And I'll just make a quick overview of the structure. So this is actually the navigation bar. We enclosed it in the header, and we have the H1 here, give a span and styled it. So this is our another list with three list items which we floated to the right, and we have an H2 here, and we have our anchor elements here, and we have two sections that we actually floated left and right, two divs I mean. So without much ado, let's jump right straight into Visual Studio Code and begin to replicate this. So the first thing we did was to, we already have our images here, and we created a CSS, folder and housed our CSS styling file inside here. Then we created the about, contact.html and index.html, which we all know how to do. So I'll jump right straight into my index.html and get my boilerplate up. Control B to get rid of this. Then I'll come right here, and since I'll be creating a clinic website instead of a school website, we're going to do clinic just as we did in class. It's the clinic high tech. Then we'll say welcome, since this is the home page. Welcome. So the next thing we're going to do is to create our navigation bar. So I actually told you guys how we would be working on projects. We're just assuming that we're creating this nav bar, just this nav bar. So we're forgetting every other thing and making sure that that's like how you mustn't follow the structure. You can choose to create everything at once, create the HTML structure before you actually start styling it. So the first thing we're going to do is to have our header. So I'll say header, and inside my header I'll have my nav with an ID of nav bar. So inside my nav bar I'm going to have an H1, which is our logo. I'll give it a class of logo, and inside my H1 I'll have clinic HIIT. Then I have my UL, another list with three list items. We already know how to achieve this. Then inside each list item I will include an anchor element, and the first one would be index. I'm doing everything in small letters, so about, because I already have these pages created, contact. Then I'll come in between my anchor elements. Let me give spacings here. So I'll come here and I'll say home, the home page. Like we did all this in class. And I'll come here and I'll say about. Then I'm just giving this spacing so we won't get confused. Then I'll say about, but I respect that you guys have worked on this in class, and we'll just take this review as like a quick sneak peek to like concepts that you also need to revisit. So because I want my logo to be clickable, I would come here and I'll include, let's give it space, include my anchor element, and I'll redirect it to index.html. I'll grab my clinic.hiit and I'll paste it inside here because I want it to be clickable. So the next thing I will do is I actually want the T to have another color, so I'll come here and I'll give it a span. I'll say span, and I'll give my span a class of text primary. and I want my T, this I actually want to, I want the T to, let me increase the width size of my, so you see exactly what I did here. So what we did was that we have like an H1 with a class of logo, and this H1, inside this H1 I created an anchor element and redirected it to index.html, not comma. Then because I actually want it to be clickable, then because from the prototype we're trying to copy this one, like the T has like a different color, so like that's what we are trying to include to on our own design. So we are going to be achieving that using the span, like the span tag. So I gave it a class so I could target this T. I could just choose not to give it a class, but I just chose to. So let's see what we've done in our HTML. Let's see what we've done by viewing it on the live server, by viewing it through the live server. So we have our browser open here, and this is exactly what we've done thus far. So the next is to focus on our styling, like to style, to make sure that our navigation bar is okay. So to do that, let me adjust this. Okay, not this. We want it to look somewhat like this. So guys, the first thing we'll do is our CSS reset. So, and I've showed, okay, let me just come here and say CSS reset. So just to get rid of the padding and margins that by default the browser gives to our project. So I'll do box sizing, border box, and when I save it, and it didn't work, so let me check my HTML whether I actually linked it very well. My style, okay, I didn't. So I'll come right here and I'll say CSS, and I'll say link, I'll say CSS, because my CSS is in a folder called CSS. Then when I save that, okay, it worked. So I'll jump to my style sheets, then we'll continue. There are some stylings that I would want us to give, so I'll call this main styling. This styling, I'll target them to the body. So I'll say HTML, I'll say body. Then I want to give it a font family. I'll just give it one of the web safe fonts that by default comes with. I'll give it Visual Studio Code, Sergio, it doesn't really matter to me. So I'll give it some line height, so like 1.4 m. So yeah, so I'll target, because all these guys are like clickable. So I'll target my anchor elements, which are these guys here. Then I'll remove the text decoration. So text decoration none. I'll save. So it got rid of all the, let me adjust this, guys. So it got rid of all the underline. Then I'll change the color to create some like dark gray. So next thing is, let me target my headings, like the H1, H2, and H3, because subsequently I'm going to be creating like H2. So I'll say margin bottom, so there'll be some spacing, margin bottom. Then I'll give it like 20 pixels. So you see, like we have some spacing underneath here. Then let's just do the nav bar right now. So I'll just come here and say nav bar. Then let's look at our HTML so we know what we are doing. So the first thing I'll target is my navbar class. I could just target nav bar ID, sorry guys. So I'll just target this. I'll come right here and copy, so I don't get to make any mistake when I'm. So because it's an ID, I'll use an hash. You can use a class. You can choose to do whatever you want to do, but just make sure you are with us. I'll give it a background of 333. So let's see. Okay, I can't see my text because I need to give it a color of white. Let's see. No, I think I don't need to. I think I need to give the anchor element. I'm trying to make this interactive as possible. So I'll say color white. Yeah. So I'll come right here and I'll say overflow auto. Okay, awesome. So the next thing is I'll target this H1, float it left, target this UL, float it right, just as we did in class. This is just exactly what we did in class. So I'll say hash navbar, and I'll come here and say the H1, I'll say float. By default it's floated left, but we just have to left. Then I'll give it like some padding top for it to come down a little bit. I'll say 20 pixels. So then the next is to target the UL. I'll say UL, I'll say float right. Let's say like you moved over here. Then I'll say list style type to get rid of these guys, and I'll say none. Got rid of the bullet points, and because I want this stuff to be inline, not like inline, I want them to all just appear on one line. I'll target the li, the list items. I'll float them left. So we have achieved that. The next is to target, they are all clickable. So I'll just grab this and I'll target the anchor tags inside our li, inside our ul, and I'll give it a padding of 20 pixels. Awesome. Then because I want it to appear, let's do text center, text align, and I'll say center, and let's see display block. Okay, I think this is fine. I think this was it. Let's look at our project. I think this was it. Okay, we're still gonna add some hover, and let's target the T first and change the color. So when we come here, we give our T and we enclose it in a span and give it a class of text primary. So we'll copy this, adjust our screen, go into our CSS, and let's just go up here and below here. I'm just trying to make it orderly. I'll paste this. It's a class, so I'll give it a dot. Then I'll give it a color of, so in class we give it B197, let's say 9700. Okay, so let's see what, yeah, so that's what. But for here, I'll say utility styling. This, like, we'll use this in almost every section of our page. We'll have elements that would have this particular class name. So the next thing is to achieve this hover effect here. We need to target this anchor elements, and to do that we'll come right down here and we'll grab this guy, come here, I'm going to use the pseudo selector, say hover with that, just as we learned in class. I'm going to give it a background of 444. Then I'm going to give it a color of the same color we used. Then I'll save it and check. Okay, so but we want this one to just to have like just like we have here. We just want the background and the colors to be this way. So to achieve that, we didn't do that in class, we just skipped that. I'll give this the first, I'll give the first li, the anchor tag inside the first li, a class of active. Then I'll adjust my screen, come right here and include it here. This is my home. I'll say comma. Then I'll say, I'll also do, instead of doing a directly, I'll do dot active. And when I save it, it just appears here auto. So let me see, let's look at our design thus far. So one other thing we did in class was to bring our items inside our navbar together. We were able to bring them together, and we did that by creating a container class. We created a container class in our HTML and housed our navbar inside it. So this was what we did. We did dot container because we wanted to give it like a maximum width inside our container class. We just came here, we only copied our nav. I had to do cut, sorry guys, pasted it inside. So see, we only copy so that we could target this. So all I have to do now is when I come to my styling, I'll go to my utility class, then I'll say dot container. I'll give it a max width of, let's try 1140 pixels, and let's see, let's adjust this. So it didn't work. Let's see where our problem is coming from. So I think we should give it some margin. Let's say margin auto. Let's check. Let me try reloading the page. I should have this thing centered. So let me just give it a padding, top and bottom 0, left and right 20 pixels. This is not what I want to see. Let me check my HTML, So okay guys, sorry, I should have had, let me do X, and let me have I'm supposed to have this container inside my nav tag. So what I'll do is so I'll just copy this H1 and UL and paste them inside here, then grab and paste it inside. So just look at, let's just look at the structure. We have our nav tag, then I actually created this div container. I wanted it to house the H1 and the UL. So just let me zoom in so we see the structure properly. We have the nav. After the nav, we actually created a div with a class of container that we just styled, and let me save and see. So I think it worked this time. So see what we wanted to achieve. Wanted to bring these guys, we wanted to bring them close. So the next thing we will do, so let's give it an overflow of auto 2, and I think we're done with the navbar. We're done with the navbar and items. The next is to work on the showcase section. So for that, we'll jump into our HTML and get that up and running. So I'm live here inside my HTML, and I'm going to have my showcase inside the header. You see, I've not left the header. So I'll come here and I'll say showcase, and for this I'm going to have like a div with an ID of showcase. And because we are also going to be making use of our container class, I'll say container, because I want some items in my showcase to be at center, just as we have like these items that are inside the showcase. You see, they don't actually extend beyond the specified maximum width that they should contain. So inside my container div, I'll have a class of showcase showcase contents. Then inside there I can now have my h2, which I could just say health is wealth. Then I will just have a paragraph, and I could just say get best of let's say get the best health. I just write anything. We don't need to waste time doing this. So I'll save this, and this is actually how it looks. But from our prototype, we actually gave, you see, the same text primary class was also given to a citadel. So we're going to share this same text primary class to h2, to just a few texts in our h2. So for that, I'm going to share it with health. So I'm not writing any new code. I'll just say span, and let me write span. So, and I'll say class of text primary. Then I'll just grab health, come here and paste health. And let me check my output, so you can see it just appeared that way without going to my CSS. So the next thing is I want to give my paragraph some special styling, so I can just call it lead. And we've not actually added our button, and we'll do that with an a tag. We'll direct it to about.html, and inside I'll just say click and get well. I'll just write get well soon. So I think this should be it, and let me get rid of this spacing so I'll know that I'm done with my header. Let me check. So this should be it, guys. So we have to jump into our CSS and let's see what we've done. Okay. So we're going to include the image actually from our CSS. So I'll come to our CSS here. I'll scroll down. Then I'll come right here and I'll say showcase. The first thing we're going to do is to give it a background. So we'll target our showcase, this showcase div with an ID of showcase. I'll just come here and copy this. I don't want to start solving bugs, so I'll do hash, and I'll say background. I'll say URL, just as we did in the class. So I have my image here, and we use photo 1, and when I save it, let's see. So my image actually appears, but I need to do some styling. So I'll come here and I'll say no repeat. I want it to be centered. I want I want it to cover the screen, so when I save that, it still doesn't appear the way I want it to. So I'll just come and give it a height of 600 pixels. So I have my image here, right? So I want it to appear a little bit dark, so I will do my I'll do my linear gradient here. I'll say linear gradient, then I'll do RGBA, that's red, green, blue, and alpha. I'll say red 0, blue 0, 0, then let's say 0.6. I'll say RGBA, I'll say 0, 0, 0, say 0.5. Then I'll get this close and include a comma. Be sure to include a comma, guys. And most of us were having issues with this in class, so you see it appeared a little bit dark, so I'll target the text and make them white. So to do that, I'll go right below here and I'll say showcase, and I'll do dot showcase content. Know why we're doing the showcase content, right? Because we have like a div with a class of showcase content that has our h2 and our paragraph and also the anchor. So I'll come here and I'll say color, say FFF. So we save and see. So you get the idea. So I'll come here and I'll say line height. Let's give it some line heights. Say 1.2. 1.2, right? Ems. So let's see. So the next thing is let's give it no, instead of giving it a line height, let me just give it padding top. Let me say padding top. Let's say 170 pixels. Let me see the effect. Yeah, instead of giving it a line height, I think I may even choose to leave this here. I think I prefer this one here. Then add some text. I think so. I think I'll just leave it here. Or let's just do exactly what we did. So let's do text align and center. Let's see the effect. Awesome. Then and let's increase the font size of the h2. So I'll just grab this, come here, say h2. You could just do dots, but I'm just trying to keep my code, you know, organized. Font size, I'll say let's do 50 pixels and check. And I'm liking this design. I'm seriously liking this design. So let's continue, guys. So the next thing is I'll just give my h2 a line height of, let's say, 1.1 ems. So see, we have this anchor element here. So we'll go to our HTML. I think we have it here. Let's give it a class of btn, class of like button btn. See what I'm doing, guys. So I'll save it and I'll come right here and I'll go up here. Just look at the way I'm actually doing my styling. I'm actually taking my time. I don't want it to appear all over the place on my screen. So I'll give it color of white. Let's see. So it has a color of white. We're going to give it a background color. You guys know that already. So I'll say background color, just background, just say 333. Then I'll say padding say 13 pixels top and bottom and 20 pixels left and right. You can do whatever you want to do, but now we have this. So let's change the display to inline block, and let's see. Okay, cool, got rid of that. And what else? Let's give it a border of none, and I think that should be that. Then we also want, when we hover around, stuff should happen. So I think what I'll just do is let me see my hover. Sorry, let me go down and check. Let's check the hover effect we gave to the nav here. So we could just come here and say, let's do dot btn over, and let's check. We're just checking on dot btn. We want, when we hover about it, this should work, right? Okay, I didn't add a comma. Yeah, it worked. So what next? I think I should give it like a padding top or so. But maybe has a padding top. Let's see. Let me just increase the font size of our paragraph. That's this paragraph. So we increase the font size. So we'll grab this class name lead. We may still have paragraphs along the line with that class name. So I'll go to the utility section here, right? So I'll have my dots lead, give it a font size of 18 pixels. When I save it, I just have few text there, so to increase it a little. And you know what, let me get rid of this border bottom here and see. Let me go to the border bottom. Let me say just margin bottom. Let me say 10 pixels. Okay. And let me leave it at 20. And okay, guys, let's just continue. So the next thing is, let's give our paragraph. Let's give it, check. So if we give this a padding below, let's do padding below. Not padding below, guys, padding bottom. So I think it should help us with that. So we'll go for padding bottom, and we'll say not this. What is this? I'll say padding bottom of 20 pixels. I think we should knock that guy down. Okay. And yeah, I think we're done with this section. And so the next thing we're going to look at is this section, just an image, and see, when I hover around this, I have like an ease in and the opacity. Then we have this, just these two things, and we're done. So for this particular one, we're going to call it section, and we're going to make use of the section tag, the HTML section tag, with an ID. We're going to say section with an ID of home info. Like, you can use a class, and a class of bg dot. So I have like an ID and a class. So inside my section, I'm going to have a class of info, because you see I actually want these two class, I want these two sides, one with an image, one with with the text. So I'm going to say info img, which is for the image, is going to be an empty div because I'll be shooting the image into that div in our CSS. Then I'll come here and I'll say info content, which you should basically interpret as where our text would be. So inside there we're going to have like an h2, and we're going to have like a paragraph. So inside the h2 we're going to have the same span. We're going to have a span with a class of text primary. We already created this. So inside here I'll say health, I'll say, let's say clinic, which will actually take the color clinic redefine. Okay, let's just whatever clinic redefine. We're not actually here for some English class. So then inside my paragraph I could just say the clinic. I wish I could just copy something somewhere, clinic, or I'll just pause this video and just type something so I don't waste it. So welcome back, guys. I just took a long ride and just wrote something that I don't really know that it made some sense, but just you could just use lorem 30 or whatsoever. So I'll direct this to our about page, about.html. Then inside here I'll just say get well soon, like an anchor element that we could just click. So I'll give it a class of btn2. Could just come here and just say class, say btn. Then let's take a look at what we've done. So when we scroll down, this is actually what we have. btn, when you hover, we could just give this one a different styling. So let's go back to our css. I think we need some spacing here. HTML, sorry guys. So let's jump right straight and do our style. So to begin with, how we do it here. I'll just come here and say home info. Then I'll target this particular class of home info. Target it this way. Then I'll give it a height of 400 pixels. So let's see what we've done. So we're giving it a height of 400 pixels. So we're going to target the image img, the img class, and we're going to float it left. Sorry, then we're going to include the image. So we'll do that. We'll say background, the normal way we did that. So we're going to do the gradients. I'll just come here. Let's just copy this linear gradient, and we'll just come down here and we'll paste it. Then we'll do URL, and I'll say dot dot. The reason why I'm saying dot dot is that I want to leave my CSS folder, then go into my image folder. So we could just do the no repeat. I don't want to, okay, let's just then code along. So I'll say no repeat, center slash cover. So let's see what we've got here. Okay, we don't have our image here, so let's just give it a width so it could appear. So I'll say width, I want you to take 50% of my screen, and height, I want you to take 100% of your Yeah, awesome. So I have my image here, and exactly this the way I want it to appear. So guys, let's continue. We're almost done. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to, let's give it like some hover effect, the image. So I'll just copy this. I included this actually. Then I'll say I'll add the pseudo class. I'll say hover. Then I'll say transition. I want it in like 0.7 sec, easing. And then I want the opacity value to be 0.8. So when I save it, and when you hover around, see, when you hover like an easing, you could tweak the values. It mustn't be these values that I gave it. So let's target the content, that's this particular section of our code, and see what we could do with it. So we'll say home, but this time not img, this time it will be content, and I'm going to float it right. And next is what I'm going to give it a width of 50% of my screen, and I'm going to align the text to the center, not item, text align. So I keep writing text align center. So, and I'm going to, let's save and see. Text align didn't work. Let's see. Home. Okay, I give two. Sorry guys. Bugs everywhere. Okay, worked now. So I'm going to say, let's give it like some margin. So I have some spacing around. I'll say 30 pixels. Top 0 every other place. So let's see. Okay, it worked. So let me have like a full screen and see if I could minimize this. So guys, for the most part, this was exactly what we did, and the assignment is to get the third image, make have a new section. It's just like you replicating this same thing. Have a new section where you have this image here by your right and the text by your left. So, and we'll get to see your progress in class on Monday. I wish you all the best. Take your time to go through the code from scratch, and I will just share a link to the code, possibly a Google Drive link, so you could maybe download. But I will encourage you to just take a long look at this, and may just make progress with what you've done already. So I wish you all the best. Do have a wonderful and a splendid weekend, and see you on Monday.